Hi, and welcome to America's Social Worker Unfiltered, where every week I have hopeful, honest, and deeply human conversations with change makers. And today I am so excited to introduce you to Judith McLean, who is a woman in long-term recovery, a huge advocate for women for sobriety. She is currently living in Hawaii, and I am just so honored that she said yes, because we met in California a few years ago when I was showcasing my film Gray Area. And it was just an immediate attraction that sometimes happens when two people meet. And so I asked her to share her story with us today and talk to us about her journey in recovery and how she has been living this beautiful life with 20 years without alcohol and a woman in recovery who works a really strong program. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. And it was when I met you in California at the Real Recovery event, it was like, who is this woman? I have to get to know her. And you were so open and it was
Mhm.
wonderful. And then, well, you were a speaker at a Women for Sobriety conference. You did a
Yes, yes,
workshop and
yes. I did. I did. Yes. That you invited me to after you had come to see the movie. How did you end up there anyway? Are you, I mean, it was Real Recovery Film Festival, and I mean, I feel like you do all the things with other women in sobriety. So you show up, you just keep
wow.
showing up.
That's right. I just kept showing up at things. I just figured someday something will click somewhere, and just spreading the word about women for sobriety. And sometimes, it's a brick wall, but you just don't stop. You just keep trying to reach more people, more women. And just recently, I saw a woman that I hadn't seen for about 6 months or so, and she said, I'm sober now because of you and what you said to me. I have no idea what I said to this lady. And she goes, my whole life is so much better now. It's like, well, that's so cool. So if we just keep showing up, I think
Mhm.
that is what we need to do. And you do that, Kelly. You just show up everywhere. You're on everything.
People are probably
You
like,
are
I've seen too much of her now.
you're a scrappy, and that's in your book. You mentioned that you're
Yes,
scrappy, and you are.
yes,
And I
yes.
think that matters. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, and I have to admit, you were the first person who told me about Women for Sobriety, and we were taught about many programs, if any, other than Alcoholics Anonymous in graduate school. And when I got sober 13 years ago, I went straight to Alcoholics Anonymous because I knew about it, and I had gotten training knowing about that in grad school and had family members who were in it. So for me, that was really the only option. And now, as you've seen, in the last probably 10 years, the sober curious movement has just exploded. And so people are joining online groups and showing up for different types of meetings and quit literature. And so when you said to me, we were talking about She Recovers, a program that we're both familiar with. And you said, well, my hope is that Women for Sobriety becomes as popular as She Recovers. And so if you could just take us down the road of how you found it, the program that you're working. I mean, before we started recording, I see that you're up very early on social media, always posting these like beautiful sunrises or sunsets and, out hiking. And I think that's such a testament to the life that you're living, and from moving from Southern California to now living in Hawaii, that I feel like is like everybody's dream someday to do that. You're doing that. And so I have to believe some of that has to do with the life that you're living as a woman in recovery.
Right. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about speaking with you today, and it came to me that it's like leveling up. Recovery is like leveling up in a game.
Mm.
And sometimes you get stuck on that one level for a while, and you just
Mhm.
have to keep learning that same lesson, making that same mistake, and then you level up to another another level, and then you're stuck with new challenges and things like that. And Women for Sobriety, it was a story that got me there. I quit drinking 9 months before I found Women for Sobriety, but I didn't use any program. The whole God thing kind of threw me for no thanks, I don't need that.
Mhm.
And I'm a strong woman, I can do this on my own. Well, 9 months later, after not doing any program, I ended up trying to take my life. And I was hospitalized for that.
Mm.
And they told me about Women for Sobriety. And I went to my first meeting, and I was always uncomfortable around women, just not sure I could trust them.
Mm.
And I walked into that meeting, and I was just surrounded by heads nodding with everything I said. And I found my home, and I was so accepted, and there was no shame. In fact, we introduce ourselves as competent women. We say, I'm Judith, I'm a competent woman. We don't
Mhm.
throw around the label alcoholic. If
Mhm.
you want to call yourself, that's awesome, go ahead. Now
Sure.
I pretty much just tell people I have a substance use disorder because I
Mhm.
think that's more clinically acceptable. And
Absolutely. Mhm.
alcoholic has such shame. I don't
Mhm.
have any shame calling myself an alcoholic,
Sure.
but I think there is a lot of shame, and that keeps people from going to meetings. So
Mhm.
I'm so delighted and happy that there's She Recovers and the Sober Curious movement, and that young people are just choosing not to drink or
Right.
not drink as much.
Mhm.
It's like the world's changing right now. I'm
It
so
is.
excited.
Well, and that, after we met, I was doing some research on the program, and it just seems so, and not to get into picking apart my opinion or your opinion on different programs, everybody has a different experience, and I love experiencing all of them, similarly as I like to dip my toe in different religions, and say, like, well, what can I learn here? But something that I love about the program that you're in is that it is so positive, and there's 13, what do you call them?
Statements. The 13
Statements.
acceptance statements. And the first one is I have a life threatening problem that once had me. And that is powerful.
Hmm.
And then the last statement is I am responsible for myself and for my actions. And I love that. It's such an empowering program. And I
Hmm.
think women drink for different reasons than men. And I think we recover in a different way than men recover. So
Hmm.
being in an all program is really, really important to me.
Mm.
And I love that you explore all different religions and things because I like doing that too, because I
Hmm.
think there's so much you can gain from all of that.
Yeah.
Um, hot yoga is a huge part of my recovery. That was a level up for me, the
Uh-huh.
biggest level up. Yeah, yeah.
Gosh.
And you just keep stacking those, building those skills. And, that's what I'm a facilitator. I've facilitated meetings at WFS for 19 years.
Okay,
Once you
and
have
can
a
you
year,
yes, 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 yes. Tell us about that too, because that was interesting for me to learn about being a certified group facilitator. Is that
facilitate.
okay?
Yeah, CF. And now you can become a tech assistant because we have so many online meetings. We've
Sure.
got like 10 or more online meetings a day.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so you can start volunteering there because I think volunteering, I call it my seatbelt, my recovery seatbelt. It
Hmm.
keeps me safe. I keep volunteering, I'm not going to use again
Hmm.
because how could I let everybody down? You know,
Sure.
these women
Sure.
count on me. So it's
Sure.
like my recovery seatbelt. I'm nice and safe in my recovery as long
Hmm.
as I keep volunteering. Yeah. So
So,
anyway, you can at 4 months become a tech assistant. At
okay.
6 months, become an online meeting assistant, an OMA, and then at a year you can become a facilitator. Yeah.
Okay. And so did a lot of the meetings go start online once COVID happened? Because I know that that was really a shift for a lot of people. She Recovers started online meetings. A lot of Alcoholics
Yep.
Anonymous meetings started online. Um, are there physical spaces for you in Hawaii that have meetings on the island?
I've started meeting wherever I live because I need that in-person connection.
Hmm.
And I have my beach. I started it in AA space, but it didn't feel right. And one of the girls said, "Why aren't we meeting on the beach? We meet on the beach."
Oh
That's where
my
we meet every Saturday. Yeah, actually, it's Friday mornings now because I competitive paddle, outrigger paddle now, and so Saturdays we race.
God. May I ask how old you are?
I'm 60, almost 63. Yeah.
And the reason I ask my guests that is because I've talked to women in their 20s and I've talked to women in their 80s. And, I think that it is important when we do share our story to see ourselves in somebody else. Because I know for so long, for me, it was like, well, she's so much older than I am, or she's so much younger than I am. And there was this comparison. And so my goal is to show that there isn't a specific qualifier for somebody to seek help, right? That if you internally know that you have something that you're struggling with, there are lots of opportunities for other to connect with other people, and especially women who are struggling with something similar.
Kelly, I'm glad you brought that up. I have been out loud about my recovery since day one because I want to show people that it's the mom around the corner, the lady that does all the volunteering at the school, that
Mhm,
she's just everywhere. We are
mhm,
every woman.
mhm.
We aren't, smoking a cigarette, drinking scotch in a bar somewhere, we're just like
Yeah,
everyday people.
right, right.
Yeah, my uh, story includes getting in that mommy wine group.
Hmm.
And that's when the drinking started to escalate quite a bit,
Sure.
that culture. Yeah.
Hmm. The
So I had to,
normalization and people getting together and drinking to raise kids, which is the most is the craziest thing you could think of, because I'm like, I don't know how I would raise my kids drunk, you know, much less when I first got sober, thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this sober. I couldn't imagine, drinking with my teenage kids now, which I would be if I were still drinking.
me too. And I've got lots of friends that, no, not lots of friends, but I do see people doing that.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. My kids are one of the main reasons why I quit. My husband traveled a lot and I was, drinking at night to passing out. And it was like, what are you doing? What if something happens? How am I going to get the kids to the
Hmm.
doctor?
Hmm.
So that crossed my mind. And then it started getting in my head that this needs to stop with me. No more of this in our family because it goes way back, of course, like it
It
does in
does.
most families.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
And I'm like, it ends here. I am done with this. And so I quit. And my kids, my daughter chooses not to drink. My son, he's very careful when he does. It's just, it's not part of his everyday lifestyle. They've
Hmm.
seen me open with them about it when they were little kids. It's
Mm.
never too early to talk to your kids about this. That's the other thing I tell young moms. Don't hide it.
Hmm.
Show them. My kids are so proud of me. They're the first to tell you how proud they are of me. Yeah.
Which I think that's so important. I'm not calling you an old timer, but a lot of times in the program, people who've been around a long time, we refer to them in AA at least as old timers, right? And there was an idea that we don't recover out loud, right? Because we wanted to keep this anonymity. And I think that landscape has changed too, that, it does people a disservice if we don't share our story, because we do eliminate the shame by speaking out. And you were like that from day one, it sounds like. Or maybe not
Yeah.
day one, but early on for sure.
That's a funny story. I was on day 12 and I was a Girl Scout leader and I was out on a thing with a bunch of Girl Scout leaders and the kids. And I said, I'm 12 days sober. And they looked at me like I was insane. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I don't share this out loud right away.
You were so excited.
I was so proud of myself. I couldn't go one day.
Yeah.
Every morning I'd wake up, today's the day, I'm not going to
Yep.
drink. And then it became 3 o'clock. I was a 3 o'clock start. Once the
Mm.
kids were home from school,
Yep.
then it was like, okay, everybody's safe. I've done all the errands I need to do. I'm not driving. And
Yeah. Yeah. So how were you able to stop drinking for those 9 months without any program? Were you in therapy? Were you exercising a
yeah,
lot? Like what were your healthy coping mechanisms, I guess, during that time?
That's a good question. Not a lot. I did
Mhm.
not have a lot. That drinking was my only coping mechanism in life. It's what I was taught by my parents. They
Sure.
were wonderful people, but drinking was the culture back then, and it was an everyday thing in our home.
Yeah.
And so when you're happy, you you drink. When you're sad, you drink. You
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I did not have any coping, but I did have a therapist, and I told my doctor about that I have a problem,
Okay.
and she gave me some sleeping medication right away. She said, "You're going to have trouble sleeping." Yeah,
Mhm.
because I've been passing out every night.
Yeah.
And so she helped me with that, just a small amount to get me through a little time. And then she put me on an antidepressant
Mhm.
and the therapy. But the reason I ended up in the hospital is because I wasn't 100% honest with my therapist. That is so key.
Mhm.
Yeah, I kept things from her.
Yeah.
So, how can
Thank
she fully help me if I do that?
Well, thank you for saying that because, as a therapist, I've had clients tell me that, where they will sometimes say, like, I haven't been totally honest with you, and I need to tell on myself. Or, a lot of my colleagues told me not to write a book because they said I needed to be the expert, not somebody who was sharing their story. And some of my clients read my book after it was published, and they said, now I can start talking about my drinking, because it was as if I gave them permission or understood outside of a clinical setting what maybe they were going through.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is the importance of sharing in a meeting too. At WFS, I really encourage the women to share because as old timers, I love that. That's funny. As old timers learn too from a meeting when people
Mhm.
share. It's
Mhm.
so important. You have to do that. Yeah.
And
And oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is there sponsorship in WFS as well? Do you
That is such a
sponsor
great
women?
question. No, we do not, but it naturally happens. Just
Sure.
like probably it does at AA too. You start getting drawn to certain women. You see these women, it's like, oh, I want what she has. And
Yes.
so you start connecting with them. We share phone numbers and it just happens very organically. And
Mhm.
then it's not one person telling you what to do. You need to
Mhm.
do this, this, and this. It's one person sharing, listening,
Sure.
guiding you more.
Mm.
Yeah.
Love
And
that. Like a
it's beautiful.
mentor.
It's much more like a mentorship.
Okay.
Yes. But we don't have a word for it. It's
Yeah.
just something that happens.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's relationship building, it sounds like, and having somebody that you look up to. And I love that phrase too, finding somebody who has something that you want. And it's like, here, let me lead you or show you the way. This is what worked for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's like in our shares. Oh, that's the other thing we do different. We do have crosstalk in our meetings. But we have a rule. We don't
Mhm.
tell people what to do, number one. We
Sure,
stay away from talking about medical stuff too. That is between you and your doctor. We don't
sure.
tell people what drugs you can take or anything.
Hmm.
But we share, this is what's worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you.
Hmm.
That and it's wonderful to have that communication and that back and forth
Mm,
during the meetings. And then,
sure.
and I love that aspect of WFS.
Mm.
Yeah.
So why Hawaii? I mean, where you lived in Southern California, which I did too for some time. Um, and I feel like Hawaii's like the golden ticket. You know, of, if I can just end up here, what made you decide to make such a big life transition later on in life?
Well, when I was 12 years old, my parents took me to Hawaii, and I'm like, what the F?
Uh-huh.
Why don't we live here? This is the
Yeah.
best place on earth. I was finally warm. I am like constantly cold. I am
Uh-huh.
always cold. And I grew up in Oregon where
Hmm.
it's Oh, the not getting sunshine for 9 months is debilitating.
Hmm.
That is really hard on you. Being vitamin D deficient, really added to my depression. I had really, really bad depression. My kids were vitamin D deficient. It is not healthy. So
Hmm.
anyway, my goal has always been to live in Hawaii. And my now ex-husband, I just recently got divorced, and
Recently,
he
as
was
in how
born in
long ago?
February. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Stop
I just
it.
leveled up again. I just leveled up big time.
How long had you guys been married for?
33 years. Yeah.
And you got
Yeah.
divorced in February?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, we'll talk about another major life transition. I'm sure it's so
Yeah.
raw.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I'm doing so much better. But because of all my coping skills that I've developed in recovery, I
yeah.
think that really helped me.
Mhm,
Yeah. The just sitting with the feelings,
mhm.
the just deep down depression and anxiety about the future and grief. So much grief about the life that I thought was going to
Sure.
happen.
Mhm, mhm,
But then there's joy and freedom and
mhm,
just breathing.
mhm.
Yeah, and figuring all this out now on my own. I've never lived by myself in my entire life. It's very new and different. Yeah,
And you live by
yeah.
yourself in Hawaii?
I live by myself in Hawaii.
Well,
Yeah.
with a dog. I see a dog running around back there.
Oh, yeah. I got two Dalmatians. I gave them bully sticks so they'd be quiet, and a cat, a senior, a really old cat. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And where are your kids? Your adult
My
children.
daughter, yeah, she's 30. She's in Burbank, California. And then my son is 25 and he's in Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
So you're a great place to come visit.
Yes, absolutely. They do like visiting. Yeah.
And what does your day-to-day look like today?
Well, walking the dogs, that's, all the time. And then I paddle, I outrigger canoe paddle, which is new for me. I've never done a team sport. And I get the value in being on a team and working as one and being on the water. And
Oh,
this is the most spiritual place I've ever lived in my life.
okay.
Kailua Kona, Hawaii is like the best spot in all of the islands.
Oh,
It's rural. I've never lived in a rural community before, so we don't have great health care,
okay.
but you don't have a lot of stuff. You can't like go to the store. Sometimes shelves are empty. That you have to do without a lot of times. It's a great way to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more peaceful and nothing happens fast here. And the highest speed limit is 45 miles per hour. It's like
Oh my
it
gosh.
it it requires you to slow down, and that's nice. I like that.
Mm.
And I found a hot yoga community that I walk to. It's just down the street from me, so it's the best.
And you're up at 4 a.m. What time do you go to bed at?
I go to bed at 8, and
Yeah.
now I journal. I started journaling. That's another level up. I started journaling through the divorce. It's like I have to let this stuff out somehow.
Yeah.
And I've always been scared to journal. But I met this woman through She Recovers, Casey Carroll, and she does a demystifying journaling. So I've been taking her course and I'm journaling now. So
Ah,
I go to bed and I journal. I do Sudoku for my old lady brain, and I read a novel. That's what I do for an hour before bed. Yeah.
and what are you doing at 4 a.m.?
Okay, then I get on and I start watching reels by like monks and things like that that give me all positive stuff and stuff on like surviving divorce and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
do a
yeah,
little,
yeah.
and then
Ah,
I play all these games that work my brain and that kind of stuff. And
wow. So,
yeah.
as you were talking about before, you were, really struggling with the God piece in recovery. And how has that changed? Because something that I'm trying to educate people about too, it's like, okay, you haven't had a drink in 20 years, but that doesn't mean that, you don't think about it anymore. I mean, you still have to work actively to treat your depression and live a whole connected spiritual, whether that's being out and outdoors or on the water. Life. So how did that journey change for you? And or has it changed? The
Oh,
God
it's
piece.
totally changed.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
God piece has definitely changed. Um, well, spiritual growth, emotional and spiritual growth are statement number 8. And that's part of Women for Sobriety. So there is that element right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, it's just not using the God word. And what I found, I'm glad that WFS is secular. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of our women are belong to all different kinds of churches and things, and believe in their gods and religions and all of that. But it is secular, so we don't talk about God.
Yeah.
But um, but the spiritual growth, that was like the last statement that I kind of looked at and worked on.
Hmm.
And because I think a lot of women have religious trauma, this is a safe place for them to come. And I've witnessed that over and over. You know, there's a lot of women from cults that come to our meetings, you know,
Yeah.
and so since I moved to Hawaii, that spiritual element has really risen again. Yoga helped me 8 years ago. That helped
Okay.
raise that. And
Uh-huh.
then moving here, this is a magical place. And, you know, the people of Hawaii, the Hawaiians, it, you have to respect that. And you feel it here. There are places where battles happened that when you go to, the hair on your arms, right,
Ah.
you feel it everywhere here. And being on the ocean and being able to be at the ocean is so important. I think all of us need to have that. I can't imagine living in a landlocked state where you're not near the ocean.
Yes, and I'm in Chicago, so I've just, I celebrated a birthday and that was the first thing that I wanted to do was put my feet in the sand, in the water at Lake Michigan, and it's so grounding. And my dream is to move to the Jersey Shore where my husband's from, to be by the Atlantic Ocean, because there is something so healing and so calming about water.
That is so interesting you said that about getting your feet in the sand, because when we go to our WFS meeting here, the first thing one of our gals says is take your shoes off. We get our feet in the sand and we ground ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so important. It sounds so silly, but these things matter. These
Mhm.
are all part of my recovery, doing
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, and silly or not, there's simplistic ways that I think, a lot of women that I've talked to over the years is we tend to overcomplicate things with trying to find solutions to the things that we make up in our own mind sometimes. And if we just get back to the basics and some of the simplistic ways of living, it's really those things that can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nourishing our bodies is really important, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like an important element for me was trying to reduce sugar in my life.
Mm.
You know, that really took over after I quit drinking.
Oh, yes. I put the drinks down and picked up the cigarettes and the sugar because I still needed like something.
Yeah, because it hits
Yeah.
that same spot in the brain. It does
Yes.
the exact same thing that alcohol did. Yeah, I went crazy for sugar. And then I went back to my doctor and told her, and she's like, oh, sorry, you're gonna have to stop that. I was like, what? I drink alcohol, now I have to give up sugar too.
I know. I used to say that was my only vice I had left, and now I'm borderline diabetic just from family history, even though I'm healthy and move my body and, watch what I eat. But I'm like, come on, can't I get a freebie? But you're absolutely right. I mean, my kind of tagline is addiction is addiction is addiction, right? It's a brain disorder. So it's like whether it's sugar or a phone or alcohol or gambling, your sex or drugs, it's like it feeds the same crazy making thinking that we engage in and the obsessive thinking. Hmm. Yeah. Mm.
And then another coping skill is meditation, is working on meditation. And yeah, my friend Casey Joy, she destigmatizes yoga too, or not stigmatize, demystifies. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
And I think that meditation, people are so scared of meditation because they think they're supposed to empty their mind,
Right.
but that's impossible. Your
Right.
mind doesn't work that way.
Hmm.
You're just supposed to allow the thoughts to come
Hmm.
as you're sitting there quietly, and allow them to just pass through you
Yeah.
and acknowledge them. Oh yeah, I'm thinking about my grocery list. Okay, let that go.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
do that and just start small, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah,
Mm.
it's so achievable. All of us can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And the mindfulness piece of it too, that it's like I don't have to clear out my thoughts. I can just notice them or recognize what's going on in my body. And that's really important too.
And we can change our thoughts, we really can. We have the power to do that.
Hmm. Hmm. Mm. I am just, wowed by the energy and the positivity that I feel from you through the screen, as well as just hearing you talk. And there does seem to be just such a baseline of gratitude in where you're at today. And you're still continuing to work an active program and stay grounded and centered. And I think that that really shows.
Yeah. WFS changed my life. Yeah, it
Mm.
really did. And it taught me all of those things.
Mm.
It did. And I have to give back. I'm like a serial volunteer.
No, I was like, aren't you on like the board or something? Or like you have
I
some
used to be.
title.
I
You
used
used
to
to
be
be.
on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I'm more of a do it person than a sit around and talk about it doing it
Got
person.
it. Yeah, I like that. Action oriented. Well, and
Yeah,
well,
I just like to make things happen.
the woman, I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, who started WFS.
Oh, Dr. Jean
This,
Kirkpatrick. I'm sorry I didn't even mention
no,
her.
no, no,
50
no.
years.
Right. Thank goodness for her, because from what I understand, and you probably know the doctrine more than I do in my research of just kind of trying to understand it, Alcoholics Anonymous didn't work for her. She was like, I'm not able to stay sober, meeting with these men, and so created this program for women, and that's where I felt most comfortable, was in women's meetings in AA. So thank goodness for this woman, this sociologist, I think she was, that created this whole program.
Can you imagine? Oh, if you can watch videos of her, she's just this tiny little woman that's she's a spitfire.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Talk about making things happen. Yeah. And back then there was so much shame about women drinking and
Hmm.
everything. And so I think that's why it was kept a secret for so long. It was really hard to find meetings. Like when 20 years ago, they told me about it, but you called the number and, or, yeah, I think it was calling a number, not emailing. Anyway, one or the other. And then you
Yeah,
had to wait for someone to get to
sure.
you. And then
Mhm.
they would tell you when the meeting was. It was very like secretive,
Sure.
but
Hmm.
it took a long time for that ethos, that thought process to change and be like, let's get out there and share
Right.
this because
Right.
it's amazing. And
Yeah.
it breaks my heart when people haven't heard about us. It
Yeah.
does. It breaks my
Yeah.
heart.
Well, that's why we're doing it, right? Like, keep telling people, giving them resources, letting them try on things that might work for them or might not. But, it's about education and really giving people the resources. So I will put the link to WFS in the show notes so people can find meetings in their own city or virtually as well.
Yeah, it's womenforsobriety.org. I noticed
Mhm.
in your book you had .com, but it's
Oh
.org.
my gosh! Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. That's important. Shoot. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that link won't work. That's in your book, but but that's okay. If they want to find us, they'll find us.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure. Okay, good. Well,
And we
thank
have like this online program also where you can go to a 24/7 forum where women write, and there's all different groups. There's LGBT groups, there's groups for professionals like doctors and nurses that can go to.
Oh,
We have every kind of meeting you can imagine. We offer everything. And they're starting a new care program that's kind of like Al-Anon, where it's for family members. That gets
okay.
released this month. I mean, we are growing exponentially. So
Oh my
yeah, it's a great.
gosh. Where is the headquarters located?
Well, it was Pennsylvania, Quakertown, but
Uh-huh.
every yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's everywhere.
Yeah. Oh,
We are international. I have meetings with women in Uganda and Japan and Australia, and yeah, so
amazing. Good. Well, thank you for sharing your story and for telling people about your journey. And I will be channeling my inner 4 a.m. wake up this week, because there is something that is so beautiful about having the quiet morning before other people have gotten up and the chaos starts. That was something that I think is really important. Again, when people are trying to change behaviors too, that it's not about, getting up and running at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's get up 10 minutes earlier than maybe you used to, because you were feeling hungover in the morning, and sit and drink your coffee, in quiet, can make a lot of difference too. So,
Thanks
well,
for having me.
of course. And for everybody listening, just a friendly reminder to be the change that you wish to see in the world, whether that starts within, in your community, or in your neighborhood or the world. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.